I'm just practicing not saying my name is Liam. Over and over.
Say my name's Liam as well. But do you reckon anyone would notice?
That's a good shout. We could try it one week and see what happens.
Does anyone know what we look like?
I am like Anchorman though. If you put it in front of me, I'll just read it.
I'm definitely going to write a new intro next time you're presenting. I'm Dave, and I give all my money to Liam. Bank account 1, 2, 3. Obviously, for the listener, Dave's account number is not 1, 2, 3, 4, but is it?
No, it's 2, 3, 4, 5. Gotta make it difficult. Hello and welcome to Watch It If You Can. My name is Dave.
My name is Liam.
This podcast is all about box sets we've created of our favourite films and TV shows. Some you've seen, some you won't, and others you may never want to watch. However, we can say if you've never seen Cheers, we're still glad that you came. All we want to do is chat on about these films and TV shows we love so dearly, and maybe, just maybe, you should watch it if you can.
Dave?
You alright?
I'm alright.
Boxset 2, episode 2.
Yes.
I know it's a good one. Let's dive right in.
They're all good ones, but every choice we've made has been a good one. That's why they're good, because there are choices.
That is fair to be honest, but this is a particularly good one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You're going to tell our listener what it is?
This week, Matthew, I'm choosing Stand By Me.
So many people won't reference that. We're showing our age there, aren't we?
Stand By Me is my choice this week.
Or The Body, originally from the Stephen King story.
It was a novella, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, did I read it was the same... It was a book of short stories that also included the one that became Shawshank Redemption as well.
I think you're right, yeah, because it's all Castle Rock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because this is set in Castle Rock as well. But the film was going to be called The Body as well, wasn't it? But obviously a little bit morbid.
I'm sort of glad they didn't. Like, Stand By Me it's a great title. And obviously, they wouldn't be able to use the song either. They'd have to pick a song called The Body.
Later, yeah. Just wasn't worth it.
That lovely song, The Body.
So tell us about the movie.
Okay, so Stand By Me was released in 1986. Stars Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, Kiefer Sutherland, and directed by Rob Reiner. Like we've just said, it's based on a Stephen King novella. Grossed $52 million from an $8 million budget, which is pretty good going.
So why have you made the choice this week?
It's one of my favourite coming of age films, and a few reasons, but it's mainly the themes that it touches on. Now, I've pulled a few out. Is it really goes into, like, it's a really good film that shows the themes of friendship, vulnerability and grief really well, especially amongst boys as well. I think that's...
Who don't normally show those emotions, really.
Yeah.
That's one of the key things for the film, isn't it?
And I think it's the time it's set as well. Although in the film, it's that stage where in America it goes from... It's where they first go to junior high when they're about 12 or something, isn't it? But I think the same equivalent to us over here is that step from junior school to senior school. Which
the big boys.
Yeah, what is it now? It's year 6 to year 7.
I'm rubbish at all this.
I'm sure it is,
yeah.
But
I think you're right.
Does that step of going from into the big school is quite a significant step in your life, isn't it?
So it's like Ace and Kiefer Sutherland, like your sixth formers then, basically.
Yeah, the big boys, yeah. And I just think it just hits that in between age, especially so well. and to talk about, like, obviously you've got 4 friends, and the very last line on it, which the narrator goes, do you ever have friends like you do when you're 12? And it sort of really sets that scene of, like, they're the world to you when you're 12, aren't they?
You think you're going to be friends forever, don't you? You really do with those people. Even, like, you're probably the same. We had, like, friends and neighbours, not just like school friends, and we probably haven't seen them since then. And
it's that lovely line where the narrator narrates through, it's set in the future. He says, and that the following year they go into the senior school, or Ark into senior school, and they just become a face in the hall. And I think it's true, because you know, obviously you and me, we've known each other since infant school, but we probably became friends juniors,
juniors.
But it was senior school we became really good friends. So we could probably trace back groups of people that we've known and, like, sort of
have no contact with anymore,
faded away bit by bit. It's really strange, but so it's a really important film, and I think I saw it when I was around that age, 10 or 11. So I think it just really stayed with me. You know, when you watch something, you go, I relate to it. And it's weird because it's so relatable, even though it's a film set in the 50s, but made in the 80s. But even today, I think all them themes, the universal, everything the kids go through are just so universal.
Because we did have a conversation about it. I was asking you, is it an 80s movie? But you were saying it isn't, because technically it's set in the 50s. Because I was thinking, because one of the ideas was to have like a bit of an 80s theme intro, but the argument was it did come out in the 80s, but it's based in the 50s, so it didn't really. Is it an 80s movie, or is it just an 80s movie set in the 50s? It's
a weird one, but like I said, it's still so relevant today, because obviously we've watched again. I've watched the film a few times, and it's just all the characters, all the main 4 characters which we go into are this group of friends. They're all so real, they're all so relatable,
and you know each one of them.
Yeah, we all know Vern, don't we?
Yeah.
We all know Teddy. Do you know what I mean? They're all characters that we've grown up with, and it just really stayed with me as a film. And we were just talking. How I ended up watching this was, we mentioned it before, when we used to have video shops, and for again, I remember it was in the shop next door to my dad's in Halton Village, and when you went into the back room that had videos, it was divided into walls. So there was the new release wall, which was like something like £2 to rent, and then there was the slightly less released wall. And then there was the back cupboard, which was like the films that were maybe straight to video, lesser known, or they'd been out for a few years. And in that cupboard, it was like you used to get 4 for £1. So it was a complete lucky dip. Most of these films you'd never hear of. And I remember my dad came in with the stack of 4 videos, and we went through them all, and we were like, what's this? I remember vividly, there was quite a few people. Because in my dad's house, there was always people coming and going. There's always like a hustle and bustle type house. And the film came on, and everyone was just taken by it. It was, do you know what I mean? None of us knew the film. We literally said, what's this film? Stand By Me. And it's just one of them memories that always stayed with me. Everyone was just
little mini cinema experience, wasn't it? Just everyone watching it together.
That beautiful feeling of everyone shared that moment together of a film. We had no idea what it was going to be like. And even then, so that must have been around probably about 1991, it still moved us all. And it was like, it's always, I keep saying it, but it stayed with me. It is one of them films.
So who's in it? Of the people that are in it, what would we know them from?
Okay, so the first one is Will Wheaton, who plays Gordy. It was supposed is the main protagonist because it's
told from his view, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's sort of set in the present day, where he's remembering this story back in something like 1959, isn't it? So you've got Gordy. He's done a lot of stuff, but probably most people know him as he was in Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, if you watch Big Bang Theory as well, he plays himself.
Plays him. I've
Big
got
Bang
that
Theory.
down. So apart from that, but he's done a lot of voice work as well. I'm just laughing because I haven't wrote Star Trek down. I've wrote Star Rex.
But he seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, really.
Interviews that I've watched of him and stuff.
And he does a lot of podcasts and stuff as well. I think he seemed to do, when I was looking, doing my research, they do a lot of drama podcasts, which seem to be becoming quite popular at the moment. So he does a series of that. He actually does a series of Sandman, which you've spoken about as a TV series, but it's a dramatised podcast.
Oh, excellent. And he's in it, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently he does a couple of them things. And so I think he's heavily involved, but he's done a lot of voice work on a lot of TV series. And then also we've got the character Chris, played by the late River Phoenix. A couple of films he was in. He played young Indy in The Last Crusade, which everyone probably...
Great little sort of mini movie in that, isn't it?
And he's also in one of the films that really catapulted Keanu Reeves, My Own Private Idaho, which is a bit more of a grown-up, coming-of-age film. It's a really good film. I need to go back and revisit that, actually. But I put one to watch, Sneakers.
I put Sneakers. You can't.
I completely forgot he was in it.
He's brilliant in it.
Yeah, it's a great film. And then we go on to Teddy, who's played by Corey Feldman. I'm just going to list off a couple of films he made in the 80s. The Goonies, Gremlins, The Lost Boys, The Burbs. He was like quintessentially your go-to 80s child actor. So I just think, and then also later on, obviously he lost his way a little bit. He's had a lot of personal problems, Corey Feldman, and he's quite outspoken about a lot of issues about how children are treated in the industry. And I think he does deserve a voice because he has lived that, and he, for all the things he's done, he's seen a lot. I feel like he should have. I think he's trying to get a bit of a platform together, but I think people should listen to him. But one of the other things I didn't realise he did is he voiced Donatello in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which I hadn't realised. And I think we revisited the voice of Tails quite a lot as well. But I was like, he played Donatello. He was one of my favourite. I think he was my favourite, actually.
He's going to be here in Liverpool as well, isn't he, in the next Comic-Con? He's coming to that, yeah.
Okay, so who else have we got? Next, we've got Vern, played by Jerry O'Connell, who you probably recognise from Jerry Maguire, Scream 2. And he played, another Big Bang link, he played Sheldon's older brother, George Cooper Jr. in Big Bang Theory. Now, I always remember Jerry O'Connell, he's actually grown up to be a really good looking fella. And I remember seeing something, I can't remember what it was, and someone said, "That's Vern from Stand By Me." I was like, shut up! Because obviously you think of Vern as the little fat kid, but he blossomed, shall we say.
I mean, imagine in school, no one ever thought. I bet there's a load of girls going, if only I'd known.
Little Vern.
I made a note to Jerry Maguire because that I mean, it's just a great film anyway.
Yeah.
So, to have any part in that is worth checking out, isn't it? And
then a couple of other honourable mentions as cast. We've got Kiefer Sutherland, who played Ace. I love Kiefer Sutherland in this film, but we mentioned Kiefer Sutherland before on the back of Lost Boys, Young Guns, Flatliners, A Few Good Men, A Time to Kill, 24, Need We Go On. He's a bit of a favourite here.
Obviously, Jack Bauer in 24 is kind of the one, I probably would have picked, but I picked a film that you mightn't have seen, actually, Dark City.
No.
From 1998. He plays like a bit of a mad sort of scientist in it. It's about these kind of like, I can't remember, I don't want to say too much because I want you to watch it really, but it's a sci-fi film.
Okay.
It's sort of got a bit, because The Matrix was coming out and I think Phantom Menace was come out the next year, it sort of got a bit sidetracked really. It wasn't a big hit, but it's a great film. And obviously Young Guns we've done. Please go back, listen to our episode talking about Young Guns, one of our favourites. A Few Good Men as well he's in. We absolutely love Kiefer Sutherland on this podcast.
And then the other honourable mention we've got is, and here's the other link, one of the other links to Young Guns as well, Casey Samako. He plays Charlie in Young Guns, who we've spoken about, and you mentioned he played 3D in Back to the Future, but he's Vern's older brother in Stand By Me. That's who he plays. So I didn't put the two together until afterwards.
Yeah, there's a Young Guns connection with Kiefer Sutherland, and then there's sort of another one. This is a bit of a stretch. This is about 3 degrees, but I'll let you go on. I'll let you do your other.
So the only other, obviously, I completely forgot John Cusack.
Cusack. No H.
John Cusack. He plays Gordy's older brother, Denny.
So go back. Boxset 1, episode 1. Gross Point Blank.
So it's like it's all connected.
It's all,
but I completely forgot John Cusack is in it.
Yeah, it's tiny part of it, but he's his brother, isn't
he? But obviously there's a connection with the director as well, which I'll mention in a minute. And then just to top it off, we've got Richard Dreyfuss, who's plays the adult Gordy, who's the storyteller and the writer, sort of retelling this story, and it's an absolutely fantastic performance. It's considering it's only such a short part, but you remember
it's perfect, isn't it?
That voice. And I know it's so weird, and we'll come back to favourite scenes later, but I was only thinking about it on the bus before, and this is where I think Rob Reiner, who I'll mention in a minute, is such a good director. The voice at the very end with Richard Dreyfuss, he stands up and he's finished writing the story.
Don't say anymore. Because that's my favourite scene. So
okay.
You're going to spoil it.
We'll come back to that.
But just on Richard Dreyfuss, the films I've picked, there's always the Spielberg one with John Goodman. Have you seen that?
No. I haven't seen that
film.
one.
But the link to Young Guns, he was in Stakeout and another Stakeout with
Emilio Estevez.
He was in Young Guns.
It's like the 80s was just a big family, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
But the film I have picked out for Richard Dreyfuss is What About Bob?
I picked Mr. Holland's Opus.
That is a good film.
It's a really good film.
I just think that What About Bob's so rewatchable and such a funny film. So
and also, I wrote, and I need to go back and see this, Postcards from the Edge. It was a big film in the 80s.
It was, yeah.
It was
I think that was like 100 million comedy again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big one.
So the main man's next.
Rob Reiner. And I'm like, I don't think there's enough love for Rob Reiner in the world right now.
I think there's for people our age.
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think if you go out and ask people who he is.
Appreciation of, like, people talk about film directors as this and that. They are so humble. Let me just reel off his first 7 feature films that he made. Okay. This is Spinal Tap. That's his first film. You could retire on that.
Like a belly.
I know, yeah.
Hit.
Okay. The Sure Thing, and that's
John
the John
Cusack.
Stand By Me, which we're talking about. The Princess Bride, such a good film. When Harry Met Sally,
one of my favourites of all time.
Misery, again, another
Great
Stephen
film.
King novel. And A Few Good Men. They're the first 7 films he made. Like,
just back-to-back hits,
and I'm
isn't
like,
it?
Literally, we mentioned about John Landis, like, defining the 80s. Is there a better run of films by a director than that?
Not by a director. I think as an actor, probably Tom Hanks, with those back-to-back and back films, and you think, how'd you find those scripts and how'd you make those movies?
And
but it's the same with Rob Reiner.
With Rob Reiner, just like, he's also a great actor as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, so little thing that I've just said to pull out him, because I'm a big fan of the TV series New Girl, and he plays the main character, Jess, her dad, Bob. He's got a recurring role, but his estranged wife is Jamie Lee Curtis, who's obviously in the news recently.
Yeah.
But they're fantastic together, and it's a lovely appearance when he pops up, because he pops up in a few episodes.
So I didn't notice all the films that you mentioned there, but what I did notice is it was just from 84 to 92. So that's only 8 years, is from The Sure Thing to A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
How'd you make like so many good films in such a short span of time. No one, we know how long a film can take to actually make and edit.
And obviously in that period, he did this Spinal Tap. He pretty much invented the mockumentary.
You don't get Modern Family, you don't get The Office, you don't get all those type of shows, do you, at all without that?
It's groundbreaking. It's absolutely groundbreaking. And what do you know what we'll come back and do Spinal Tap one day, but if you actually I remember they re-released on DVD the Spinal Tap, and it was literally they put all the bonus deleted scenes. It's almost another film of just scenes that didn't make it. And it's like there's great, we digress about Spinal Tap, but yeah.
So Rob Reiner, obviously one of our favourite directors then, so let's get back to the film itself. In Stand By Me, who is your favourite character? Why have you picked them as your favourite character?
We love our honourable mentions, any four of the main characters, but of the four, it's Teddy, and it's so heartbreaking as well, because it's sort of alluded to. Obviously, his dad was in the Second World War. He stormed the beaches of Normandy. He's obviously got post-traumatic stress. He's alluded to that he's actually in a mental hospital. He's had severe breakdowns. He held Teddy's ear to the stove and burnt it. So his ear is burned. And the love Teddy has for his dad is heartbreaking. It's you can see the bit where the junkyard owner says, you're so and so's dad. He's a nut at him.
He really flips, doesn't
he? Absolutely. And it's that when you're a 12, 11-year-old, it's that again mixed in with them, that vulnerability, that grief, because he's not dealing with that's dealing with the loss of your dad almost, although he's not dead. You know what I mean? He can't reconcile them feelings between actually being burned, held. Imagine that's a traumatic experience. And I love
at any age,
And the way Rob Reiner just sort of subtly puts it in the film, it's not in your face as and he's a bit of a mixed up character, Teddy, because there's the other scene where he tries to do the chicken with the train, and he's obviously he's mixed up is the best way, but as a character he's just always the one to connect to. And I don't know what that says about me. I don't know, I just always, my heart goes out to Teddy. I mean,
that's what it is, you just want to hug him, don't you? So it probably feeds into that.
And I think Corey Feldman's performance for such a young age, he did some great films in the 80s, but his performance is
there's a lot of that come back again to Rob Reiner.
Yes.
Just what a good director is. And now we probably both read some of the same stories about how he treated them on the set, and not that he wasn't always nice to them, because we'll come to that, but to be honest, I went with the older Gordy. I went with Richard Dreyfuss because, as you said, although he's only really in the start and the end, the narration throughout the whole of the movie is just pitch perfect.
It's beautiful. It is.
And then that whole scene, which we'll move on, is one of my favourite scenes at the end. So I've gone with the old one just because I think we talk about the main cast, but you can easily gloss over Richard Dreyfuss in this film.
I always forget he's in it, if that makes sense. Every time I watch it again, I go, it's Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? It's like, I know he's in it, but I watch it because
it's very small. It's two
and it's years in between watching it generally.
Yeah.
And I go, oh my God, it's Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, I've gone with him. Have you got a favourite scene though?
Favourite scene is a couple of honourable mentions. The train bridge scene with the train comes is just, it's brilliantly done. It is. It's so well done.
So apparently though, with that scene, they didn't look scared enough. So Rob Reiner screamed at them and kicked off out of frustration. So when you watch it again, that is genuine emotion. If you watch it, Vern's crying and Gordy just looks scared.
Yeah,
that's because Rob Reiner shouted.
Literally.
Yeah, they must have had to do it a few times.
Because the way they did it is the train is actually way further, but they do that weird thing on the lens where you can it looks closer than it really. So they weren't going to put kids in danger. Do you know what I mean? Obviously,
you never know in that.
Well, it was right on the back, because I remember reading an interview with Rob Reiner. He said he did have real problems because it was right on the back of the incident we mentioned with John Landis coming to America, the Twilight Zone movie where there was the helicopter and 2 kids got killed because they were taking advantage of child labour law in Vietnam. So there was a real strict rules about how many hours kids could work. So Rob Reiner said it was a real struggle to get what he needed to be done in the small time he had with kids, because he could only be on set for so long and had to be looked after and chaperoned and all that. But so there's that train bridge scene. I think it's one of the scenes of the film, isn't it? One of the little comical moments, and I think it's how good Jerry O'Connell plays Vern, is my other favourite scene is where he's under the house looking for his jar of pennies. And it's integral because it's the bit where he overhears about the body. But I just love the scene where he's digging for his pennies and the shot pulls out. And there's like hundreds of holes all the way in because he said he buried his jar of pennies and a map, and his mum threw the map away. And it's just like, I just think it's a lovely little scene. And obviously, it's the bit where he overhears about his brother and his friend where they saw the body. So it's such an important scene on a film. But my actual favourite bit, and there's a couple of little moments, it's the conversations between the boys, and specifically between Gordy and Chris. Them little snapshots of conversation.
Is this after the leech scene, are you going to say? Well, there's a different one.
There's 2. It's the bit where they pull back, the other 2 running off, and Gordy's like he has a moment where he turns around to Chris and he goes, "Am I weird?" And Chris is like, "What? You're not weird." And Chris gives him that like lovely moment where he goes, "You just be you. You do what you need to do in your life," because obviously he's alluding to what's going on at home, because the mum and dad are obviously just shut down after the death of the bunny. But that moment where he just goes, "Am I weird?" And again, it's something we can all relate to, where you have, especially when you're growing up, you're not sure of your place in the world. You're like, "Am I weird?" And you just need that. And then a little bit later, there's the flip scene where Chris gets really upset because obviously his family are quite well known in town and to grow up on, and he thinks he'll never amount to nothing. And it's such a beautiful piece of acting by River Phoenix. He must have only been 12 or 13 or something.
Yeah, barely just kids or anything.
And then it was Gordy's turn and he just puts his hand on him and doesn't say anything. And it's them 2 little scenes I just think are lovely. And I think, again, Rob Reiner's got to have credit for the way he gets them performances out of those 2. So young and...
But the talent's there as well, which really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're absolutely right. We're saying Rob Reiner obviously worked on it, but the talent's got to be there as well, hasn't it? He pulled the talent out.
And again, so that's why we always say about, in films, there's so many people involved in production of film and TV. So credit to the casting in this. They plucked these 4 kids out, and they're so good together as well. That you can feel it. The swearing, the smoking is a little bit naughty, and then there's that other little bit that's always a bit weird, because the whole theme of the film is that you're straddling childhood and adulthood, and there's that bit where Corey and Teddy have that random conversation about who would win between Superman and Mighty Mouse, and you forget this. It's a lovely scene because it shows they're not an either. They're not children and not adults, and it's that lovely. Looking back at it, it's a lovely age, but at the time, it's not a great age.
Because you want to be older, don't you? You want to be an adult. That whole thing about on my strange stuff. What sort of blows my mind now is when we were kids, if someone was going to come back and go, right, all the things you like now, everyone's going to like them in the 2030s, like Marvel comics and stuff like that. Everyone will be going to see those films, and Star Wars is going to be bigger than Star Wars. You think, you like Star Wars now, you just wait till when you're in your 40s. Star Wars is going to be bigger than ever. And all the things we kind of liked, you did think, all, you know, we weren't in the football team where we
Yeah.
had the rugby team
No.
and stuff like that. You know, we weren't super sporty where we were
No.
kind of like, I love movies, and no, we're just going no. You know, I just love films.
I'm
and
having
stuff.
visions of PE in school day, like just cringing. Do you remember PE? Like,
Are you going to say this because I didn't turn up, or?
Do you actually? No, but
Yeah,
like,
I can't put a vest on without shaking. Yeah,
that horrible blue rugby top with the yellow stripe we used to have to wear. Oh,
but the things,
Yeah.
one point to the things we loved as a kid,
yeah,
everyone seems to love now, and it's like, it's really odd for us anyway. And it's going to happen to someone who's potentially listening to this now. The things they like will come round and suddenly be popular, and you won't feel like it's just your thing anymore.
it's a cycle, isn't it? It's weird how just watching this film, I think it has made me think about that period in my life as well. It's just the last week or two, and it really has sort of put a little bit into focus, obviously, our friendship as well. We've known each other for so long, and it's just when that's that moment when he says about, like, you know, you lose track of people. I have thought a lot this week of the circle of friends that have been in and around our life that have come and gone.
Easily on a Friday night, there was 20 of us
Yeah.
going out, wasn't there? And that's not even an understatement, is it?
But not only that, is the difference from when we went from junior school to senior school, because we were in.
You go to different ones, didn't we? Some of us.
And even like when we were in junior school, we were actually in different classes, hence why we probably weren't best friends. But my best friend in junior school went to a different senior school, and we stayed friends for a few years, and then slowly drifted. I would probably like see him now and probably barely look at him, and yet at that age we were inseparable. And it's so straight.
Probably used to stay in each other's houses and everything.
Yeah, we
didn't
did.
You?
Like,
you know?
and it's just like
Yeah, the film definitely resonates. My favourite scene then probably sort of ties in a little bit to that. We spoke about this on Coming to America. About at the time I didn't, probably the dad in Coming to America.
Yeah.
Had, you know, I can't remember his name
with
now.
his daughter.
McDonagh is the burger place, isn't it?
John Amos.
John Amos is the actor, yeah. You know, probably when I watched that, I didn't understand that. And probably when I watched Stand By Me as a kid, the end scene, which is my favourite scene, is Richard Dreyfuss is, you know, he's typing out the stories and he's finishing up, and the kids just want to play, don't they? And like, you know, you said you were going to be, you know, half an hour ago you said you were going to come and play with us, and knowing all the issues he had with his mum and dad. And then he realises, doesn't he, like, what am I doing? I know it's therapeutic for him.
Yeah.
And you were going to say before, he does get up, and if you watch, he doesn't save the story, does he? He switches it off.
Yeah. And that's literally what I've been thinking about. That has literally been swirling around my mind all week, is because he just gets up, looks at it, and switches the computer off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did he save it? Did he not save it?
He doesn't. He definitely doesn't.
Because there was a few things he said. This is the first time he's thought about the events.
Yeah.
And there's the bit as well where he mentions the deer, where the deer comes. He's never ever mentioned anyone before and after, and it does make, and I think that's in that film purposely to just sort of maybe come to the conclusion that where we're at is he just needed to get it out.
Yeah, he just needs to tell the story.
I don't even know he's
it's the equivalent of sitting with a therapist,
yeah,
and telling the story. No one else needs to know. You know, he doesn't need to share to move on. He just needs to tell the story, and he does it, and he gets up, and he realizes,
he stands there, looks at it, and then just switches the computer off and walks out.
Because he knows going playing with the kids is more important, and he's done what he needs to do. And I just think to end on that, and it just, you know, cuts to the window, and you just, and obviously we're going to talk about the songs that kick in. So I just think we're talking about like Rob Reiner movies in general stuff, but when it comes to perfect endings, this I don't think this is talked about enough. That is a perfect.
It's
like,
so subtle because nothing's actually resolved either, because we don't even get the resolution for the four characters back in the time, because they just go home at the end of it, and they didn't get the reward for finding the body because they rang in anonymously.
And sadly though, we do find out what happened to them
We do,
older.
yeah.
So there's that big gap, like you say,
Yeah.
we don't really find out. But that's a devastating bit when he's sort of telling you about what
Because it
happened to them as
opens
well.
with the opening scene is that where he reads that Chris has been stabbed to death,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's just like,
But obviously we don't know that at the time.
and then
do
we get to know about the whole story. I just think, and obviously they're going to find the plot of the film, which we haven't even spoken about, is the four boys go on an adventure to find the dead body,
and get there before
the whole film is about grief. Obviously, you've got Gordy's grief of his family to go and see the dead body. Gordy's dealing with grief again with the death of Chris. And all the stories, all the characters are dealing with some type of grief. It doesn't have to be death of a person. It can be death of childhood, death of a family breakdown, death from coming from a really brutal background as a child. And I just think it's so subtle when it deals with all them things. And for a film with four boys as well, we're grown up. We grew up in an age where we couldn't be vulnerable, but you can be vulnerable with your friends. And do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the bit. You can be an idiot. You can be an absolute arsehole. You can be vulnerable. You can be funny. You can say anything, and it's just that.
It's within that circle, isn't it? Yeah. One of the, just going back slightly, one of the things I did read about Kiefer Sutherland though was he did bully them on set.
Yes.
So that when it comes to those scenes together, they were more tense. So again, there was all those little elements of the things that were going on that makes those performances. And Kiefer Sutherland obviously sort of contributed in a maybe not the right way, but it works. It worked the film, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So the song then that plays us out, but obviously there's other songs in the film. What's the best song is the question. The
soundtrack is just, you think of every amazing song from the 50s and it's on here. A couple I've pulled out, Rockin' Robin by Bobby Day is a great one, and Every Day by Buddy Holly. And now, I love my music. I do not think Buddy Holly gets the recognition he deserves as a singer-songwriter in this world. Like, he's forgotten about quite a lot, but he's such an integral part in Western music, and such a short-lived career. So Every Day is it's just a brilliant song. But Stand By Me by Benny King, is there a better? I don't care what you say. It's one of the best songs ever written. It's one of the best songs ever performed. And when it comes with that exact scene you just spoke about, where Richard Dreyfuss gets up, turns the computer off and walks away, it just comes in and it's staring.
So did you know they originally were going to have Michael Jackson re-record it?
I heard this, well, read it, and I'm just like, I'm so glad he didn't.
Yeah, I think Rob Reiner again made the right decision, because he changed the title. Again, it comes back to him, what a man. He changed the title of the film to Stand By Me, didn't he, based on the song, and Rob Reiner liked the original more than to put that in.
Such a beautiful song. It's achingly beautiful, and it's just, because we mentioned it before, there's sort of like there's like variations musically of Stand By Me throughout the film, drifts in and out, but
just teasing you
when it comes on at the end, because of what we've just spoke about, that end scene is just so beautiful, and I keep coming back to it. It's subtle. It's so subtle.
And then it was always on top of the pops. Because it was number one for weeks on end, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it sort of like a re-released and big hit again, wasn't it? But I like, is there a better song to close a film with?
Brilliant. So this leads us into the question that we love but is hard. It's only like a 90-odd minute movie as well, so it's a tight film. What, if anything, could you have done to make it better?
Nothing. I'm playing that card this week,
right.
Dave.
Am I going to be the bad guy?
No, the only thing I'm going to chuck in here is I really wish Gordy got his brother's hat back. The scene where Ace comes and steals his hat, and the fact that here's where again it's such great directing by Rob Reiner. Ace comes over, pops the hat. He doesn't even take the hat. He just throws
bothered,
it.
is he?
He doesn't even want the hat. and it means so much to Gordy.
You want to see that?
I want the hat back to Gordy, but
I would slightly change the train scene because it does look a bit dated now when you watch it. Like, so
yeah,
I think what they've done, what I read is on the wide shots, it's stuntmen are kind of dressed as them, so it looks like they're running away.
It was stunt girls,
was it? So that I was supposed to try and get a smaller kind of body shape. But yeah, definitely that bit where you see the train behind them, I think, was there another way they could have done it? It looks like it's green screen, but it's quite not.
Possibly, but...
And again, that's me being picky because you go and watch, any special effects film now, and it's perfect, isn't it? So I think, could you have done it slightly different so it looked a little bit more realistic at the time? But that's me being really that's me trying to answer the question, pull something out.
I'm going to play me nothing card on this one because
you're not allowed on this question.
Well, all right then, we'll stick. I do want Gordy to get the hat back. I think it's important.
You think it's missing that key?
But I like the way it's not done. But there's a part of me I always think about that hat. I do. It's a film, and I keep saying it. It really stays with me. This film on so many levels.
What impression did it make then?
Legacy wise, it really, the coming to age film really sort of focused what a coming to age film is, and I'm going to sort of... It's strange because virtually at the same time, another film came out set in the late 50s. Real good coming-to-age film. Dirty Dancing. They are literally great soundtrack. There's so many parallels to the two films, but I feel like Dirty Dancing has gone on to become a bit of a phenomenon. Because obviously now it's a musical, know what I mean, blah blah blah. So everyone knew
number one soundtrack and multiple songs were on that, isn't it?
I just feel like Stand By Me sort of in the shadow a little bit.
Like they could be playing alongside in
I think
the stories.
Both, like obviously you could be crude to say Stand By Me's for the boys, Dirty Dancing for the girls, and there is an element to that because I think most girls can identify with the coming to age story in Dirty Dancing. Most boys can identify, but I love both films equally. They both have a part of my life. But I just think, I don't know, I always think like it's a little bit in the shadow of Dirty Dancing because think about it, they're both set in the 50s, they both, do you think, released virtually dead.
Yeah, it's been close together.
Great 50s soundtrack, coming of age, blah, blah, blah.
So one of the things I noted was... Rob Reiner screened this for Stephen King apparently, and he was visibly shaken and couldn't speak. And Rob Reiner obviously must have panicked a little bit, and what he said was it's just the best adaptation of his work that he's ever seen. And I think, I'll be honest, even to now it's probably right.
I think we mentioned before,
I don't think Stephen King liked The Shining, did he?
No.
Am I right in thinking
and
that?
It's weird out, for me, the best two Stephen King films are Stand By Me, Shawshank Redemption, and they're both not horror stories, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't want to choose between them two. I think they're both, but
you've got to be happy if you're Stephen King sitting down and watching that. How can we watch it if we want to watch it?
Yeah, it's a good one because it's on Netflix. Yay, dead easy.
We've got our new feature then for Boxset 2. We've got a set of questions that me and Liam wrote. We're calling them our mystery questions. We have our mystery box, which Liam is going to deep dive into, pull out a question. He has no idea what this question is that he's going to pull out.
Oh, you see, I picked your question last week, so I get to pick my own this week.
No, you picked from one or two. So
No, but I put my hand in and picked them.
Oh, right, yeah. We'll do the same again. I've got all the questions here. Did I pick it for you, or did you pick it for me last time? Is that what you meant? Sorry.
I'm
with you. So you picked it and read it.
I put my hand in the box and picked it. There you go. I picked it.
You picked the question and I'll read it.
And I've just read it.
And you've read it already.
Yeah.
You've got to answer this.
Oh.
The mystery question For Boxset 2, Episode 2, Stand By Me, is kill a main character off. Silence in the room. You've got to do it.
It's like...
And you can't cop out and say Ace.
Well, yeah, no, but like in a way, Chris does die.
Nope, in the film. One of them, someone's got to go. I'm sorry. That is the mystery question.
I don't think we could kill Gordy off because
he's too integral, isn't he? And you
and
don't
also
get the story, do you?
he's dealing with his family are dealing with the death of his brother just literally months before. So
but you'd lose all your narration.
Yeah, oh, well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't. I suppose that narrows it down to 3.
I can't kill Teddy off.
No,
but
Teddy's your favourite character.
Yeah.
So that only leaves Chris O'Byrne then. We are now in the goalpost here. Chris O'Byrne has got to die during the movie. You could do Verne for the train, you know, maybe he dies during the train
maybe doesn't
scene.
make it, but then the rest of the film wouldn't have happened because then the irony is he gets killed looking for a dead body that was killed by the train. It's like, you know.
So it's Chris then.
But at what point? Do you know what? Maybe
with the gun
at the end, yeah. When Kiefer Sutherland's Ace and the big boys, the big six formers,
the boys,
they actually
kill him.
Yeah,
and the others run away.
Yeah, maybe
that
so.
That would be a good scene, actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If he stays behind.
But then we don't get the whole post bit of Chris growing up and then getting stabbed later, and that's
so you'd have to tweak the movie, but you could have that scene where they're there and Chris says to the others, "Right, you run, and I'll hold them off."
I can't believe you just made me kill Chris off and Stand By Me, Dave. Like, you know, I've just poured my heart out about this film today, and you've just made me kill one of them.
We've actually just made it more devastating, I'll be honest. So for people who...
Can I also just... It feels like a bit of a strange time to bring this up, but actually, I did mention before, River Phoenix. Obviously, he died. He was only 22, 23 when he actually died, who played Chris. So we never got to see who he would grow up to be as an actor. We've got few short...
You're going to make me cry now.
I know, but we got a few short roles with him, and they're quite... You can see obviously the way because of his brother's
Joaquin Phoenix.
There's obviously talent in the family because they were quite bohemian family, Andy. But you can see the few films that I think he would have gone on to be like Oscar material at some point. You could see it in a few films. So I just feel like we have to acknowledge what we've lost in River Phoenix.
Yeah, brilliant. If we like Stand By Me, what else would we like then? We're going with mine.
Yeah, go on. You hit me with a few.
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got Castle Rock, the TV series. It's set in Castle Rock, which is the exact same place where Stand By Me is set in. It only runs for 2 seasons and there's only 20 episodes. It did sadly get cancelled, but it's got all Stephen King characters in it.
Yeah, because he has a bit of a universe, Stephen King, although it's not like a Marvel MCU.
The SKU.
There is sort of...
But it's even the name of Rob Reiner's production company as well.
And didn't Stephen King said after Stand By Me that he would only... Basically, Rob Reiner got first dibs on everything because he obviously went and did Misery as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Stephen King does that thing where you can buy his IP for $1 and you can make a movie. So students can pick any of his stories, pay him $1 and you can make a movie. It's just open. Obviously, I'm going to stick with the Stephen King theme. The Tim Curry series and even the updated remakes are actually really good horror films.
I don't do horror films in any way, shape or form. I do
horror films, but
I can't watch films behind the couch, Dave. It's just not like I can't.
I did like the updated remakes. Obviously, The Shining, which is still my scariest film of all time from 1980. But I really enjoyed the follow-up, Doctor Sleep, which is the Ewan McGregor version. It's a sequel to The Shining, and that is definitely worth a watch. I'll run through some quickly. Just Cat's Eye, amazing. Running Man, it was a Stephen King story as well, even though he's not named as the under his pseudonym.
Didn't know that.
The Green Mile with Tom Hanks, and coming back to John Cusack again, 1408, which is a one that he did with Samuel L. Jackson. So they're my Stephen King ones. Coming of age dramas I've picked, which I think probably is the theme you've gone down.
Yeah.
So we might have a bit of an overlap. Superbad.
Yeah, got that. Yeah. Got Superbad.
Juno.
No, I'd missed
Juno's a good one, I think, for doing come of age. And then I've got two more. Boyhood. Have you seen that? So Richard Linklater filmed it over. It's filmed over 12 years.
Oh no!
So it starts with the guy, the kid, and then the film picks up 12 years later with him as an adult. He had to wait till the kid grew up.
That's interesting.
It's the same actor as in
I think I've heard
years.
About it, but I need to go back.
Yeah, if you're talking about coming of age, that's you can't have a film that's nailed on more. Mean Girls.
Oh.
Obviously written by Tina Fey. If you love Tina Fey, you love Mean Girls, you've got to watch 30 Rock, obviously.
We got it in.
Come on.
He squeezed that. That's a hell of a...
like my 3 degrees of 30 Rock, or 6 degrees of 30 Rock?
That's a cracker.
So what were yours?
Okay, well, I broke mine off into like little sections. So the idea of kids going on adventures is... I've got the Goonies and Lost Boys. I think the show, and obviously you've got the Corey Feldman link with all them. I think the idea of these young kids going on adventures shapes it makes things different when it's kids having an adventure. There's an innocence there. There's it's just beautiful. To hit that 50s vibe, I've gone for Back to the Future.
Excellent.
I just feel like there's a vibe crossover there, isn't it? For coming of age, I had Superbad, and it's a great film. But I have also put The Way Back, which I absolutely love. It's the one with Steve Carell and Toni Collette and Sam Rockwell.
So I don't think I've seen this.
So this is made by the same people of Little Miss Sunshine. So obviously, and it's very similar, but Toni Collette and Steve Carell are like they've got together late in life, and they've both got teenage children, and the boy is Toni Collette's son, and Steve Carell's really he's trying to force himself to be a bit of a stepdad,
right?
But the whole premise of the film is to go to Steve Carell's family beach house for the summer, and he gets a job working in a water park, and Sam Rockwell is the owner of the water park. Oh, it's such a good film.
Okay, I'll check it out.
If there's anything that I've thrown out today, go and watch The Way Back. And just a couple of little TV ones, The Wonder Years.
Oh, excellent choice.
I don't think we would
Fred
get
Savage.
I think it's a bit of a shout. And Malcolm in the Middle is a little you can see the genealogy of Stand By Me, Wonder Years, Malcolm in the Middle, and just to bring it round to today, Stranger Things. Yeah,
Stranger Things is like that group of like high school kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant choices there. So we hope you enjoyed us talking about this week's pick, which came from Liam. It was Stand By Me, and you should watch it if you can. Follow us on Instagram at watch_it_podcast, or on Twitter at watch_it_pod.
Join us for all our previous episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podbean and Amazon Music.